Welcome back, everybody. We're going to compare two hybrid honeys today in the way of the SIG RXP X Carry and the Glock Gen 5 45 MOS. These are like two children that you love dearly, but you love them both for very different reasons. Before we get into all the specs and everything and the range footage on these, a word from today's sponsor. Today's video is brought to you by Factory USA. If you are looking to up your Glock trigger game and get rid of that nasty feeling stock trigger shoe, whether you have a Gen 3 all the way to a Gen 5, maybe even that 43 or any other slim line, Factor's got you covered. And if you want to get a magwell that actually works with all the back straps, well, Factor's got one of those too. Check them out online and use code TC10 for 10% off. Factory USA. Well, some of you out there may be asking, what is a hybrid pistol? Well, a hybrid pistol is a full-size grip and a short slide. Now, there are compact long slides as well, which gives you a compact slide, or excuse me, a compact frame with a longer slide. Some people like one, some people like the other. Me, I really like the compact slide on the full-size frame because when it came to compacts, I always found myself running magazine extensions. Well, with both of these, I don't have to do that anymore because they both give me that 17+1, or in the SIG case, you can get those factory 21 round fun sticks, which are pretty awesome to use out there on the range. These two definitely have some big differences, and one of the things that's going to come up, I guarantee it, is height over bore. We will discuss all of that up close, but similarly spec-wise, these are very close to the working components, the sizes, all that good stuff, and they're a really good comparison, although there is definitely one that stands out for me. Now, before we get into all that stuff, make sure you guys are subscribed to the channel, and if you are new, definitely turn those bell notification icons, and if you're old and you haven't done that yet, turn those bell notification icons on, give the video a thumbs up. We are going to get into both of these pistols right now, and we'll leave links for this stuff down below, but you guys know you got to check the first link in the description or go to my website, tacticalconsiderations.com, to see all those links. We're going to check these things out up close right now. All right, we're going to go ahead and knock out the basic specs on both of these, and then we'll kind of compare the angles and everything to one another, and definitely talk about that height over bore axis with my trusty little caliper friends right here. Let's knock this SIG out of the way. First, the RXP X Carry. So what is the difference between the RXP and the X series? The RXP has solid sights set in the slide, comes with those day-night ultra bright lime green X-ray sights, came with the Romeo 1 Pro with the protective shroud. The X series slides have the plate and it's got the sight on it. You take that off and then you bolt your optic on. Little bit different here. So striker fired 9mm 17+1, although I do have those big 21 round bad boys in there right now. Obviously it's black, uses SIG's nitron coating in there, so a little bit different. 3.9 inch total on that barrel, 7.5 inches in length overall, 29.5 ounces, comes with 3 mags, at least this version did, but they are the 17 round mags. So the light, obviously, and this magwell do not come with it. Those are SIG. This is a SIG factory part that I did add. So to talk about the rest of everything here on the SIG, the X frame to me is the best feeling frame for the SIG. It's got a very much so flatter profile than the Glock. It's got a single finger groove right there, which actually feels really good. It just sits in right where my hand wants to be on it. Very nice, kind of sandpaper texture to it all the way around. Got the SIG logo right there. Everything is very nicely rounded off. Big beaver tail back there. That is going to help you control that recoil impulse. A little bit of a higher bore axis, more on that in a minute. Ambidextrous slide stop, slide release. Got that X series trigger nicely depressed in here. So you can see it's really nicely in there, sectioned off so you don't activate it on accident, even when you're high up in that firing grip. Moving forward, we do have that pick rail on there. You've got multiple slots in there to put whatever you want on there. Moving up, like I said, we got that nitron coating. Things that I did notice, the barrel wears a little bit faster than most of the other striker fired stuff from the factory that I noticed. Nicely kind of chamfer cut all the way along the slide right there, so you can get around it if you want to press check it. If that's how you work your gun, it's up to you. Do have rear serrations, front serrations, all that good stuff that you would expect. Nicely flush fit, nicely chamfered on the corners and the edges, all the way around right there. Overall, a solid setup. And definitely one of the things that I like is it's got a generous trigger guard for my big old fingers, which some striker fired pistols do not. They have a little bit less. We will get into more about the fire control unit, because if you don't know, the metal cage in here that houses the trigger and everything, that is the pistol. Everything else is just a part. Let's go ahead and talk about the Glock now, the 45 MOS, okay? The way that this one is going to come, obviously it's black, 17+1 capacity, that same hybrid design as the SIG RXP, where you have your full length grip and your compact style slide. So the specs on this bad boy overall are going to be 4.02 inch barrel, an empty weight with magazine of 24.52 ounces. We have a 7.44 inch overall length, slide length of 6.85, overall width, the widest part 1.34, and then the slide is 1 inch wide. Not bad at all. The way that this one comes here, this came with the optics plates, and then it came with the regular plastic factory low sights. It did not come with the suppressor height sights. Obviously the light or the mag well, those were add-ons from me. The texture on here is what you would normally see from Glock. It is the standard Gen 5 texture. You do have the ability to add on back straps. You do not have that with the SIG. If that is your thing, that texture goes all the way around and it works. It's not bad at all. Moving up from there, we do have our ambidextrous slide stop, slide release, and a reversible magazine release right there, not ambidextrous on the mag release. Coming up into that slide, we got that DLC coating, which looks pretty good and holds up very, very well. Got those front and rear serrations on here, pretty much what you would expect. Moving forward, got that standard Glock looking trigger guard, and it is definitely not as generous as the SIG one. You can see my big old fat finger barely fits in that thing. But it's a runner, it's a Glock, we know it. Moving forward from there, we do have front rear serrations. Like I said, we got a very nicely rounded off and chamfered off nose on that. That helps in holstering, unholstering, all that good stuff. Glock did go to the standard Picatinny size rail up here, but you still only have the one spot for accessories, where the SIG has that multiple slotted rail system and the Glock does not. Let's talk about one of the big things that people talk about between the two, and that is height over bore axis. Now basically what that is, how high can I get my hand on here and how far above that is that barrel? So you can see in there, it's about a finger. When I grab the SIG, it's going to be plainly easy for you to see that it's got quite a bit of a difference. That's why I've got my happy friend here, caliper, and we're going to go ahead and just get this in place so we can go from basically where the top of our finger could ride if we rode it high on the trigger to the top of that barrel on both of these, just to show you the difference in it. And you can see there is obviously quite a gap there, so that is a difference in that height over bore. Is that going to make a difference to you out on the range? Depends on how much you practice and how much you can control that recoil. The other big thing is definitely going to be the angles on these things. So if we get these out here, you're going to very quickly see that big old Glock hump sticking out back here. And you can see the difference in the profile. I know it's a little tough to see. This is probably still going to be the easiest way for you. You can see how that Glock hump kind of protrudes out here on the bottom like that. That causes some ergonomic things with some people. It is definitely not as flat of a grip profile as the SIG for sure, but you know, some people like it, some people don't. Other main differences here are going to be the trigger. With the RXP, you get that nice flat face trigger in there. Give you guys some ideas here. There is your hard wall, good brake. Feels a little bit different than the Glock. Reset and your brake. Now, this one does have a factory minus connector in it. As you can see, it's that standard curved trigger that a lot of people don't like because of the trigger shoe safety on there, which it has and the SIG does not. So that is your take up, that is your wall. It's going to creep and then it's going to break. A reset and your brake again. So this does have the minus connector in it, which does affect a little bit of that. Let's go ahead, do some pulls on these so you can kind of see what the weight is. Gonna be a little bit lower because, like I said, this has the minus connector, but we'll do a couple of pulls on each. Okay, so that one popped in. I know it's tough to see with the light, but that bad boy went in right at just under 4 pounds, just by a hair. And I'm expecting this one to be extremely close. This thing is pretty well broken in, and with that minus connector, that's about where I expect it to be. Slipped off there. Okay, almost dead nuts, the same place right there. We'll go ahead, we'll move on to the SIG, do some pulls on this one. All right, so that one was just about 4.5, almost exactly. Okay, do one more as long as I don't mess it up and get something weird. Might have over pulled that a little bit. It is a little higher than I would expect. We'll do one more just to even it out. Nope, pretty much right in the same place, just a hair over 4.5 pounds. So those are the basics of these things. You can kind of see, just to give you like another example of that height over bore, you can take a good look. As I just hold these and put my fingers straight out, you can see the difference in the height between the two. I know that is not the most scientific thing, but it gives you guys a very good idea and representation of how these things will fit in your hand. Obviously that nice beaver tail on the SIG just gives you an idea of what's going on there. Let's go ahead and talk about range footage and all that other good stuff. Now, some of you have been around here for a while and may know that the Glock 45 MOS has been my chosen one on Glock's offering. I have not always been the biggest fan of SIG. I've owned them over the years, but I just never had seller's remorse when I got rid of them. I tried out that M17 and something just felt weird to me. What it came down to was a viewer said it felt like a stress ball in his hand just because of the way the grip bowed out. And when I thought about it, that was really what I was getting. It was an odd feeling in the hand. When I saw this RXP X carry in the store and I felt it and just punched it out and felt the lines of it, it felt very natural and that grip felt top notch. So it turned me on to that 320 series game. Well, let's go ahead and see that SIG out there on the range and see what it performed like. Now when it comes to the SIG bug, I got bit hard. Right away for me, holding this in the store, and especially after that first range trip, that X grip changed the way I felt about the 320 series. It felt much better, and the performance for me on the range, I can't really put my finger on what it was. It just felt much more natural, much easier, and I was a little bit more accurate with the SIG, even though I've been carrying that 45 MOS and Glocks for a very long time. Something about that SIG just felt more natural. Now, SIG has had some issues, we all know that. If not, just do an internet search or look in the comments because somebody's gonna bring up the trigger issue. All of my SIGs have that fixed in the trigger. There's still some issues going on. People saying maybe there's still issues, maybe there's not. I have not had a problem. I will be getting some aftermarket triggers for that thing to test them out, but do your own research on that. Let's go ahead and see some of that range footage for that 45 MOS. Well, it's blocky, it's got weird angles, but it's the block that we all love. It is one of the most durable, reliable, and easily worked on pistols out there in the market. And it's probably safe to say that your grandma might have some Glock parts laying around in her basement because they're just so prolific out there. Some of the things that get people about Glock are the harsh angle and the Glock hump right there. The trigger's not the best, but it's definitely not the worst. and it's definitely not Glock perfection. However, the aftermarket offering is absolutely unheard of when it comes to parts for this bad boy. Now, nobody can deny the quality that the Glock pistol is. It's not everybody's cup of tea, but it's really hard to argue with all of the things that I said about reliability, durability, and of course that ease and super easy simplified platform. As far as how I feel about the two out on the range, like I said, I performed better with the SIG. Now the SIG does give me a different recoil impulse. Now on the Glock, when I'm out there and I'm firing, it feels like a push, a little bit of a snap and a push. When I was out on the range the first time with my M17 and even this one, because it's a little bit higher, instead of that snap and a push, it kind of almost rocks. It's like it bucks a little bit. Tiny bit of a different feeling, but again, like I said, I was flat out more accurate with the SIG, and overall that profile of the X frame just felt better in my hand. Now when it comes down to the trigger between the two, I have to flat out give that to SIG. The Glock factory trigger is not the best, it's not the worst. It feels terrible on your finger and it goes bang every time. The SIG X series has a nice flat profile trigger, works well, gives a different feeling out there, and it was a little bit smoother operation overall than the feeling of the factory Glock. Now when it comes down to the two, like I said, there is a standout for me, and I have to give it to the RXP-X Carry, and I never thought I was going to say that because like I said, I'm not a huge SIG fan, but the performance out there, the feel of it, I just can't deny it. The Romeo 1 Pro optic, I'm still not sold on it. It works, it's got a nice big window, but there has been some durability stuff, so I do have that protective shroud on this bad boy, but it is performing as I would expect. The RXP-X Carry is just an outstanding option, especially if you like a little bit of a flatter profile and definitely a better feeling trigger on it. Now, can it match the reliability, durability of the Glock? I don't know, time will tell. We all know that the military has taken on that M17, so we're gonna see where things go. Also, the aftermarket world for these SIGs is really blowing up right now, and I'm definitely gonna do a few things to this. Not crazy, but we're gonna see what we can do with that SIG to make it a little bit better than it is from the factory. Now, even though I find this SIG a little bit better, you guys need to do everything you can to get these in your hand and test them out. Your wrist, your angles, and your wallet may like one over the other. The SIG RXP-X Carry was over $900, but that did include the optic and the sights, whereas the 45 MOS is around $600 to $650, but then you have to buy suppressor height sights and the optic, so outfitting them like this is really kind of a wash. In fact, the SIG might have been a little bit more of a value up front, depending on which optic you like. Either way, that decision is yours. You need to do everything you can to get out there and get them in your hand to see what is going to work for you and what you are going to perform best with out there on the range. I really hope you guys liked the video. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel, turn the bell notification icons on. Check those links out below. If you want to support the channel, you can check out Shall Not Comply Clothing. They're carrying my brand of clothing now. You can use any of those links down below, or if you want that exclusive content or early access, check out TriStar and get signed up over there. You guys get out there, have some fun on the range. Take these little honeys out on the range and try them out if you get the opportunity. Remember, if you guys stay ready, ain't gotta get ready. So get her done, and I will see you on the next one.